Hi everyone, and welcome to this lunchtime session. I'm hoping you can all hear me. The microphone is certainly showing that it's switched on. Welcome to this lunchtime seminar, the first of three, in fact, that we're running to do with Microsoft Power BI. This one is obviously entitled a 5-minute dashboard. It's going to take a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but bear with me. My name's Narius Patel. I'm a senior consultant here at IM Group. So I'm going to start moving along with the slides now. So today we're going to be having a brief look at how we build interactive corporate dashboards with using Microsoft Power View in Excel. The data that I'm going to be using is actually publicly available data from the UK Land Registry. It's their price paid data. So every time a house is sold in England and Wales, there's a single record in this database. So I've currently got about 18 million rows from 1995 to 2014 in a SQL Server database. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the online SharePoint version of Power BI so that I can show you what the dashboard that we're going to build looks like when it's actually deployed to your users. So just bear with me while I switch over to Internet Explorer. So I'm not going to demo all the features of the Power BI online sites. What I'm going to show you is just how we call the dashboard. So as you can see, there's a number of different examples here. The one that I'm going to use is the London sales dashboard. So I'll just click on that to fire it up. So I'm in Internet Explorer. I'm connected to the Microsoft Cloud. I have my own private tenant for IM Group, which I'm using. And we'll just wait for the dashboard to come up. So this was built in Excel using Power View and then uploaded to the IM Group SharePoint site for Power BI. So hopefully the image that's on my screen is showing up for you now. I'm sure it'll be a little bit slower for some than others. But let me just take you through what we're looking at here. So the data is basically 2 years worth of data for 2013 and 2012 so that we can do a year-on-year comparison. On the top left, we've got a very simple table here showing the number of properties sold, so the volume, sales volume by year and by property type. On the right, we have the average price compared by property type for 2012 and 2013 within the area that's selected. So in this case, it's an average over the whole of London for the 2-year period. Then on the left in the middle, we've got a simple line chart, and I'm just going to pop this out. And that's something I really like, is because things on the dashboard do appear quite small. In terms of the first element of the interactivity is that we can pop out a particular chart or table to sort of really make use of the screen real estate that we have. So you can see a simple year-on-year comparison by month over there. So I'll pop that back in. And then in the middle on the right, we have a simple map showing all the properties that have sold. There is a limit of 2,000 data points on these maps, so you'll see at the top left it says it's showing a representative sample, but that's fine for what we need now. So I'll pop that back in. So we can plot the sales effectively, and then down the bottom we've got a simple column chart showing year on year by property type. But this one's drillable. So what we can do, if I pop it out just to emphasize it, is we can effectively double click on our bars, and I double clicked on 2013, so I can now see the year of sales by month. And if I pick a particular month like November, for example, I can see all the sales that occurred during November. So I can drill back up as well to the year level. So the other thing we can do is we can filter. So for example, these are actually sales. What you're looking at there is it's already pre-filtered, in this case for Beckenham in London. So if I go over to, say, let's go down to Feltham and Heston in West London. Let's try that. So by simply clicking on one of the members there, so Feltham and Heston, which is a constituency level, you can immediately see that the whole dashboard has filtered accordingly. So all of my charts have changed. Now the great thing about all of this is that I didn't have to program any of this. It's all automatically built, which is what you'll see as I switch over to the build demo now. So let me just jump back to my slides. Before I actually show you how it's all built, let me just show you what, let me just talk a little bit about PowerView itself. So very simple to build. What I showed you is going to take us pretty much, would take you less than 5 minutes to build once you've got all the data prepared. PowerView is integrated with Excel. It is now delivered as part of the base Excel product and on Office 365 as well. It's user-driven. That's another thing I really like about it, is you need very little IT support to get you building. It's an interactive experience in terms of the filtering, the drill, the pop-outs, etc. And it's also device independent. So you can run a PowerView within Excel. You can run it through the cloud, through the Microsoft Cloud on the Power BI tenant. Once you run it through the cloud, you can then view it on your laptop. You can view it on a tablet. Tablet-wise, it currently works. There's an app in the Windows Store for Windows 8.8 and 8.1. There is, sorry, for Windows 8.1, not for Windows 8 anymore. There is an iOS version of the Power BI app that's coming in this summer, I believe. But it currently also works on HTML5, albeit in preview mode. But you do have to have the cloud tenant for that. So without further ado, let me switch over to Excel and show you how we build that very same dashboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm using one of the Power BI tools, which is Power Query, which is an add-in for Excel. And what I've done is I've connected to my database. So I'm connected to a SQL Server database, and you'll see the list of tables and views on the right. Now I've got now if you pretend that this is my data warehouse, well, I've got a view all ready to go here. This particular one, and what you'll see it doing at the moment is it's building a preview of the data in that view so that I can actually look at it and see that this is the right view or data set that I want to use. So in this case I know it is, so I'm going to click on it and I'm just going to say edit. There's a number of transformational things that we can do here in Power Query, but that's not the subject of today's webinar. So all I'm going to do at this stage is I'm going to apply and close. And what this is doing in the background is it's loading the data into an Excel-based Power Pivot model. So that's essentially an in-memory model, data model. So it's loading 113,000 rows, roughly. And we'll just wait for that to finish. It won't take long. And that's the great thing, is a lot of these tools now are extremely fast, considering the volumes of data that we deal with nowadays. So that's finished. So now I can go over to Power Pivot and say Manage, and this will bring up my table of data that's been loaded. Now if we wanted to add other data from other sources and blend and join the data together, this is where we could do it here in Power Pivot, but I'm not going to be doing that just now. What I'm going to do is just do a little bit of formatting preparation on the data. So each row of data here is the single sale of a house or flat in London, in the area that we've filtered for. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to format the data a little bit so that when we aggregate the data within PowerView, we don't need to worry about the formatting at that point then. And the last thing I'm going to do is, anyone who's built a analysis services cube will know that names of months tend to come out in alphabetical order. So what I'm going to do here is I'm choosing to order my months by the numeric value for the month, which I have in a field called month of year. So I'm ordering my month short name by month of year, which means that my alphabetical months will come out in numeric order when I use them in the PowerView. So now what I'm going to do is, my data is all ready to go. I'm going to go back to Excel. I'm going to choose on the Insert menu. I'm going to insert a PowerView. If you've got the latest Office and the latest Excel, you'll see that there is also a Map button. I'm going to be doing a session on Power Map in a few weeks' time, so I'll talk about that a little bit towards the end. So if I now go to PowerView, And you just have to wait a little bit while this loads up. So it's basically creating a blank canvas for my dashboard onto which we'll drag and drop the particular data elements and objects that we want to display. Just bear with me while I just close off one of the little windows that's taking up space. Right, so what we have now is we have our field list from my view showing on the far right. And what I'm going to do first of all is, because we're ready to start building now, is I'm going to drag across the sales volume measure up to the top. Now this is our 5-minute dashboard bit. So let's see if I can get this done in about 5 minutes, because it is lunchtime for some of you all. So just a little bit of formatting and positioning here to do. But you'll see it's already put a value in there for me. So it's already summed up the number of sales. So we've got our 113,062 records there. I'm going to convert this table into a matrix so we can have columns and row dimensions. And what I'm going to do is on the columns I'm going to drop the property type. So if you can see on the far right down below, I'm dragging and dropping the data elements into their respective positions. And I'd like to have year, so we can do a year-on-year comparison of sales as the rows. And I'll just, a little bit of formatting here again, I'm just going to widen these columns just a little bit. There we go. Now the great thing is I can say Control-C and Control-V, so copy and paste, and it creates an exact copy of the table for me, which I'll just move next to it up here. And all I need to do now on this one is drag out volume, because on this one I want the average value of the sales. So here's value, which is the price paid. And if we drop this down by value, we can select the kind of aggregation we want, which is average in this case. So there we go, we've got our average prices. I'll copy my first table again and paste it again and just reposition it slightly and just make it a little bit bigger, because on this one we're going to create our line chart. So up the top on my design menu, I can just select a line chart, as easy as that. And here it comes. There we go. So we've got a line chart now, and it's not quite what I want. So what I'm going to do is move things around. I'm going to drag the year to be the legend, because I want the lines to be the years. And I'm going to drag in the short month name, short name rather, as the axis. So there we go. We've got our year-on-year comparison. We can see 2013 immediately is doing better in terms of volume of sales than 2012. Next I want my map. Now the map is as easy as dragging in the postcode, which gives me a list of postcodes. And I'll just resize that slightly to where I want it. So we've got a list of postcodes there. All we need to do is press the map button. Now for this it does require an internet connection. Shouldn't really be a big ask these days. And there we go. And because it goes out to Bing Maps to resolve those postcodes and plot them. And I'm just going to remove the title. And I'm going to change the map background to be the road map because it's colorful and it looks nice. That's our map done. The next thing I'm going to do is take a copy of the line chart and paste it on top again. And just going to grab that new line chart and move it down. And the first thing we'll do is turn that line chart into a column chart. Do that up the top. And next what I'm going to do is take out year. We'll replace it effectively with property type. Year I'm going to put as, in order to get the drillability, I'm going to put the year above the month. So the order is important here because that's the order it will drill in. So I've got year, month, name, month, short name. And then what I want is day of month. So I'm going to take that, drag it down. There we go. And so that gives us the drill feature. Now a little bit of extra formatting is I'm going to change the background to be black. I'm going to insert an image. and it creates a nice background image which I can then stretch to fit the canvas, and I can increase its transparency. Now I must say I don't know, I'm hoping that what you're seeing now is the same thing that I can see. It does vary from screen to screen, but essentially it's the background image should be washed out enough so that it's not intruding too much on the actual tables, charts and figures that you can see. On my column chart down here, I'm just going to remove the title to give the bars a little bit more space to grow. There we go. I'll give it a title, London property sales. And the only thing I'm missing now is some filters. So I drag in constituency and property type and price band. So for example, I can now filter, I can tell my dashboard to show me properties that cost over £5 million only. And there we go, the map starts to adjust to show me that it is all primarily in the central area of London. But we do go as far north as, where are we? Highgate, Hampstead, no surprise there I guess. Let's put them all back, pop that back in. So that's essentially it. The dashboard is, that's our dashboard built. It was as easy as that, and yes, I can do this in under 5 minutes. I actually did time it just to make sure as such, so it can be done. So you can see there that it is really easy. It doesn't require any IT involvement. It's all drag and drop. The key is having the data in the right place where you can access it, making sure that extra little fields in calculated values that will speed up this process are already done in your data warehouse, and that you're not having to build those on the fly every time you build one of these. So I'm just going to go back to my slides to show you some examples, some other examples that I've done. So these particular power views, they don't have, as you can see, they don't have multiple charts on them, but essentially this is just using a simple drill from constituency to ward in terms of area. But the first one on the left is properties costing over £1 million between 2010 and 2013. You can immediately see by sales value the amount, the sheer amount, I shouldn't say volume, the sheer amount that London contributes to that luxury market, if you like. Although £1 million today in London is not unusual. You're not necessarily talking luxury for that price. When I drill into London, you get the chart on the right, showing that the bulk of that is made up of Kensington, cities of London, Westminster, so the central area, and Chelsea and Fulham. I guess hardly surprising there as well. Here's an example where I've surfaced some KPIs that are in our data warehouse as fully formed KPIs in a tabular in-memory model. So I'm surfacing those in a Power View so that we can see what the actual percentage increase is in the average price over 2 periods, and the periods bit here being consecutive years. So the traffic light aspect and our RAG statuses are all set within the tabular model. All we have to do is drag them and drop them on the Power View. Here's an example of slightly more in the exploratory field, where I was looking at properties costing over £3 million over a period of 3 years and spotted this unusual spike around March 2011. After a little bit of further investigation, it turns out this was a run on very expensive properties, because the government introduced 5% stamp duty on properties costing over £1 million. So everybody was trying to complete their sales by the 5th of April 2011. And down here you can see the year-on-year increase. Bear in mind that 2013 wasn't a complete year of data at the time I did this, so I would have expected it to be further up. Something new that's come into Power BI in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, is forecasting. So what this chart shows, and this is just a Power View surfaced through the cloud tenant using the HTML5 preview, is what you're actually seeing here is actuals up to 2015, and up to 2014, obviously, and then a forecast. You can basically drag with the mouse. You can drag out the line and view an actual configurable forecast. In this case, for the average value of property within London. So I've dragged it out for 5 years, but what you can also do, which is quite clever, is you can hindcast, so you can drag it back over your actuals to see how accurate the forecast itself is going to be compared to your actuals. And the third thing, which I really like, is you can model what-if scenarios. Basically, you can take each data point, including your actual, mostly your actuals, and you can actually drag them to another position and basically see what effect that has on the forecast. And that's quite useful also for ironing out any particular spikes that you don't want to affect the forecast, one-off events, etc. Before I open the floor, if I can say that, over the internet, before I take any questions, the subsequent webinars I'll be doing, there's going to be one on Thursday next week on the 29th, which we're going to be looking at a little bit more at searching for data online through Power Query and blending that data with your on-premise data to create investigative type reports and answering questions. And then thirdly, on the 5th of June, I'll be showing you building maps with and visualizing data in a geospatial manner using Power Map, which is also, as of yesterday, is now delivered as part of Excel rather than through just Power BI. June, yes, the 9th of June, Monday, we've got a morning session in London where we're going to be taking you through Microsoft's new data platform, talking about big data. If you look at the events page on our website, you'll see that it's all there. I guess at this point, it's worth opening the floor to questions. What version of Excel is this available in? Right, okay. So most of Power BI is only available for Office 2013 and more so Office 365, including, if you want to use the online tenant, then it really is sort of Office 365 plus a Power BI subscription. Power Pivot, which I've only very briefly showed you today, is available for Office 2010. Any other questions? Use the questions window if you like as well. I'll just see that. I think it's only showing me the. Oh no, sorry, there are some other questions. Sorry, it's just I've got a very small window here. Let me try and go to the top. Okay, so the first question, what are you using as the data source for this presentation? Okay, the data source is a SQL Server database. So that is running on this laptop at the moment. So, but it does have all 18 million rows partitioned into the single database. How does IM Group support clients with their data modeling? Good question. I mean, we typically we would come and see you and talk about your requirements. And then we usually go into a vision phase of a project where we sort of define the scope, make sure everyone's clear about the scope of the work and what services need to be delivered. In terms of data modeling specifically, yes, we can offer competent data modeling services. We're pretty comfortable with using data modeling tools. Just depends really what you're after. If it's related to a particular project, whether it's enterprise data modeling that you're after, yes, again, get in touch with IM Group and get in touch with your account manager. Can this be hosted in a thick client app? Yes, it can be. You can. So the Power View that I built can be emailed to another person for them to use with the data and everything inside it. However, that doesn't really sort of share it. If you want to share it, across your organization, then you're better off. I mean, Power View does work in SharePoint. If you already have existing SharePoint real estate, then you can deliver through your internal on-premise SharePoint. The cloud is definitely gaining ground. When I say the cloud, I mean Microsoft's online Power BI tenant. That's definitely going to be an important factor because it gives you other features which aren't available in your on-premise SharePoint. Things like the Q&A, which I will be showing on the 9th of June. We'll be talking about that. The natural language query facility is only available in the cloud. But yeah, yes, it can be hosted as a thick client in Excel. In terms of actually deploying it yourself through your own website, what's coming is, we believe is coming, is the ability to anonymously connect to a Power View but I think that will probably be linked to the cloud tenant as well. I don't think you can take a Power View and easily host it yourself otherwise. I think, oh no, here's another question. Just flicking through a very small window at the questions. I think I've answered that one. Answered that one. Right, here we go. Can you connect to SAS datasets as the source? If you mean SAS as in the statistical tool, I assume you didn't mean SSAS, but in terms of SAS, I think the best way would probably be to get an extract out of SAS and then use that as the source. I don't think you can connect yet directly to a SAS database, as far as I know. But you can certainly do an extract to a text file and then import that into Excel. Can it hook into Oracle and OLAP, Oracle cubes? Definitely Oracle, and Oracle Oracle is supported by the automatic scheduled refresh that occurs from the Power BI site. So you can basically publish a Power View on the Power BI cloud tenant and then basically refresh the data automatically from your on-premise Oracle installation using what Microsoft called the Data Management Gateway, which is a small piece of software that you install on-premise on one of your servers. In terms of Oracle cubes, right now Power BI can't, well, I've got to say this carefully. In terms of Power Query, the tool I use to get the data, doesn't connect yet to Microsoft's own SSAS yet, but Power Pivot does. I don't think you can connect directly to Oracle cubes for OLAP yet, but I'm sure that will be on their radar. You may have seen they're just now supporting connectivity to SAP Business Objects universes. So and they're doing that ahead of some of Microsoft's own data sources. So Microsoft is definitely trying to get as many providers involved as possible out there. Can it be delivered via SharePoint 2007? I can't say for sure, but I don't think so. I think it would probably be minimum SharePoint 2013, I would have thought. Or 2012, is it? Whichever was the more recent one then. Is a separate copy of the data kept in Power View? And if so, how is data security maintained by customers? So yes, there is a separate copy, not kept in Power View, but in the Excel workbook. So it'll generally be on the worksheet, or more so it'll be in Power Pivot, inside Power Pivot, but it's inside the workbook. How is data security maintained by customers? So the tenant, from the tenant perspective, the Power BI tenant on the cloud, the security is defined there essentially. It's quite a simple security model at the moment because we are not able to segregate the site yet into various different portions. So it's sort of one place where you drop all your workbooks at the moment. But it's basically based around SharePoint security. The tenant is your company's tenant, so it's as secure as that can be in terms of other companies aren't connecting to your tenant, obviously. If you keep the Power View internally, then obviously it's as secure as your network is. Next question, what if your data source is not a single source? Okay, so if your data source isn't a single source, then typically what you can do is you can use Power Query, and this is something I'll be showing at the second webinar next Thursday. You can basically connect to multiple sources within the same workbook and import those into Power Pivot. And within Power Pivot, that's where you can join your tables and bring all the data together such that when you build your Power View, your dashboard, you're effectively surfacing data from multiple sources at that point, but they're all nicely joined together. That is provided that there is some commonality within the data, and the assumption here, underlying assumption, is that you wouldn't have done it otherwise. Can you connect to Cognos cubes? I don't think you can at the moment. No, is the answer to that. Does anyone else have any other questions? I think that covers all of them. No, I think at that point, I'd just like to say thanks to everyone for attending. We hope to see you. Please do register for the other talks if you think the subjects are going to be relevant and of interest. If they're not of interest to you, they may be of interest to your colleagues, so please do tell your colleagues about them. And don't forget, on June the 9th, if you look on our imgroup.com website, if you look at the events section on there, there are details about our session on June the 9th, which is, that's not a webinar, that's a half-day conference effectively. So please do register for that as well. And thanks very much to all of you. Enjoy the rest of your lunch. Thank you.